So I'm here at this cabin. It's beautiful. It's in complete wilderness. It took us about 3 or 4 hours to get here with snowshoes crossing a glacier. And yeah, it was a fantastic experience. I'd like to talk about yesterday and probably today as well, because we did, and I know I've mentioned this in the last video, but we did have a solid plan. You know, we had snowmobiles hired and we were going to travel to the east of Svalbard to photograph a glacier and possibly polar bears and various other wildlife. But 24 hours before the trip, everything got cancelled because of this early snowmelt. So we found ourselves trapped almost in Longyearbyen, which is the capital of Svalbard. And it's funny because it's so remote up here that you would think, all right, just hire a car and drive out. But Longyearbyen has about 2 roads or 3 roads, and each one of those is about 7 kilometers long, so these roads don't go anywhere. So if you're on Svalbard and you don't have a boat and you can't use a snowmobile, you are pretty much stranded. So we found ourselves in that situation, and we only have like less than 48 hours here in Svalbard. It's a very short trip. Luckily, a couple of Morton's friends were kind enough to lend us a car, which did give us a little bit of freedom and it enabled us to go and get supplies and drive up to a couple of trailheads and explore some of the valleys. But we really didn't have a plan. That's why the last video that hopefully you watched, if you didn't, I'll link to it here. That's why that video was all over the place. You know, I was in a strange new location with no local knowledge and no plan and no idea of what to shoot, where to shoot it or when to shoot it. So yeah, and that kind of worked out well. It forced me to, I don't know, maybe it forced me to be more creative, forced me to shoot images perhaps that I wouldn't normally shoot. I mean, you'll know I didn't even use a tripod in the last video, so definitely unusual. So yeah, this is pretty much a gung-ho photography trip, and I expect today is going to play out the same as yesterday, although today it should be I've had more sleep, so it should work out a bit better. But yeah, I'm looking forward today. I'm going to drink my coffee, pack our gear up, and then see what on earth happens today, because I have no idea at all. So I'm just packing up my gear and getting ready to go now. The weather's moving in and we do have to get going, but I wanted to share with you some of the stuff that I've brought here on this trip, because some of it's really interesting. Obviously I've got a tripod here and sunglasses. These are essential because even though it's not sunny, it's still super bright and you get snowblind so easily. An eye mask is essential because it's 24-hour daylight and I can't sleep unless it's dark. I have a sleeping bag liner, but no sleeping bag. That's because there are sleeping bags inside the cabin, but this will add an extra season of warmth to your sleeping bag. Water bottle, obviously. I've got a good old power bank here that will charge my camera, that will charge my GPS and my phone. Photography gloves, or gloves. No, these are photography gloves, but any gloves are essential in this environment. The reason these are photography gloves is they've got these little slits here in the finger, which allow you to release your finger and thumb, and doing so you can operate your camera. I have a fantastic waterproof down jacket here by Rab, which is too warm to hike in, but when you're standing still doing photography, you need to put that thing on. It really just, yeah, if you stand still for any amount of time in this environment, you get cold very quickly. I've got my trusty Low Pro Rover 45 hiking camera bag in here, carry all my photography equipment, food, filters, water, everything like that. And there is actually a new addition on here, which is this is a camera holster. So there's a plate, an Arca Swiss plate that sits on the bottom of my vlogging camera, this one, and it just slots into this here, so it essentially allows me to walk hands-free, and then if I want to grab my camera and film something, it's just a quick release system, and it's a fantastic purchase. If you do a lot of walking and you want to shoot images or video, I would highly recommend a camera holster such as this one. The camera I have with me is Canon 5D Mark IV with, on here is a 100-400 lens. This is a fantastic lens. I had it in Namibia and I loved it. Here on Svalbard I can confirm my love for this lens, and it is now fast becoming one of my favourite lenses. And I'm actually, dare I say it, one of my favourite landscape lenses, because it's just phenomenal. The quality is excellent. The reach of 400mm is superb for shooting those landscapes, especially in environments such as this. Brought with me my Mavic Pro drone and a 24-70 lens, as well as this 100-400. We have a rifle with us, yeah. So on Svalbard, it's law that if you leave the town, you have to be armed with a shotgun or a rifle, such as this one. And that's because of the threat of polar bears. If I did see a polar bear, I would definitely shoot it, but with this. I would not want to shoot it with this. This is just precaution. Snowshoes, absolutely fantastic. They make getting around so much easier. You don't fall through the snow. It gives you a nice surface area to walk on, and they're just so efficient, and yeah, we wouldn't be able to get here without them. Finally, we have a Pulk, which is essentially a sled, and we put a lot of our heavy gear on here, tripods, water, food, etc. And that just again lightens the load on our backs and allows us to get around this environment much easier. So that's it. That's all the kit, or most of the kit that I have. I'll link to some of this below. Not everything. I'm not going to put a link to a shotgun, but yeah, to the interesting stuff anyway. Yeah, I think now I'm going to pack all that stuff away, and we're going to head back towards civilization, and then yeah, see what happens. So after a very, very long and arduous trek through the empty space of a whiteout, we have made it to civilization. A few cabins here, just not too far from Longyearbyen, and we're about to get picked up and then taken back to our vehicle, which is where we started the trek yesterday. And it's nice. I'm tired. I haven't shot anything. We were hoping to see more wildlife. We didn't see any apart from that group of reindeer that quickly ran away. So I think the plan now is to get back to the car, get all our gear off, maybe go and have lunch, and then yeah, we still have a good half day here. So with conditions the way they are, I think maybe we'll see if we can find some more wildlife. That would be amazing. So we've just picked up our car from the start of the trail, and the storm is still blowing strong, it really is. And just as we've come down the hill ready to go and get some lunch, we've spotted a herd of reindeer just out in the snow. And with the wind blowing and the snow falling, this could make for a very atmospheric photograph. So we're going to grab our long lenses and see if we can make an image before dinner. Photographing the reindeer didn't go as well as I'd hoped. There were too many distractions and the environment needed to be cleaner, and this was my cue to leave. Driving around Longyearbyen, with only an hour left before it was time to leave, I couldn't help but feel disappointed that I'd photographed nothing today. I felt like everything was against me until finally the visibility increased enough for me to see something that caught my attention enough to try for a photograph. So somebody once said that they didn't like my work, they didn't like my photography and didn't like my videos because they felt that my videos weren't about landscape photography. They were just about me and how my images were just a full stop so I could publish a video and get that ad revenue or whatever they think I'm doing this for. And I would say that couldn't be further from the truth, because the image I'm about to take now is going to be a full stop to this video that otherwise may never have been published unless I got this image. But that's not the reason I'm taking this photograph. It's important that people understand this. Today's been so bad for landscape photography because it's been a whiteout since we left the cabin, and all it's been an amazing experience and a beautiful hike being out in nature. It's been a terrible day for landscape photography with nothing to see, no subject, no light, no landscape. But what that does is that forces you into a position, or it's forced me into a position where I need to think outside of the box and try and use my creativity and look for things that otherwise I would never think to photograph. And that's not the video that's making me do that. You know, this image isn't a full stop to this video. This image is a full stop to my trip here on Svalbard. And it's a different image, different to what I would normally take. Some people might like it, some people may not like it. It's completely subjective. But I'm taking it because the conditions have forced me to look more at the landscape, look at it in more detail. So I'm going to leave you with this image, this full stop to my video. And I hope to return to Svalbard, I really do, under better circumstances. But yeah, it's been a pleasure being here. It's been a short trip, it's been a cold trip, but God, it's been a fun trip. So without further ado, f5.6, 300 millimeters, and we're photographing the beautiful mountains which I've seen for the first time today across this valley.